My name is Fatima, and I am a Palestinian. I was born in a refugee camp in Lebanon. I have been in exile since I was born. I have never had a proper home, and I have never been to my country, Palestine. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. Arthur Balfour was Foreign Secretary of the British government in 1917. The Balfour Declaration was just a letter of 68 words. It was the first time that a major imperial power gave official approval for the Zionists to have a Jewish homeland in Palestine. I knew he was British, but I couldn't imagine that the person who affected all of my life was Scottish and came from a large country state, a few hours' drive from where I ended up. When I heard about it, I wanted to go to see his home. My family come from a small town called Eliajur, near Haifa, which is now an Israeli city. My parents were farmers. They had lands and they used to plant vegetables, wheat and olives. They fled from Haifa in 1948, 2 weeks before the State of Israel was created. It was nighttime when they saw the Zionist tanks at the edge of the town, so they fled to the next village. They went to Shafa Amr, and then they were under attack again by both British airplanes and the Zionist Haganah gangs. So they fled to Kufr Manda, then to Mi'ar, and from Mi'ar to Sha'ab, Majd al-Krum, Deir al-Asad, and Harfish. They reached the border of Lebanon and they went east to Baalbek city. They lived there for 10 years in a refugee camp called Galilee. After that, they moved to Beirut and settled in Shatila camp, where I was born and grew up. I was 10 years old during the Israeli invasion in 1982. The Israeli entered the west of Beirut. They made a siege of the two camps, Sabra and Shatila. At 4 or 5 p.m., they started shooting the camp. After that, the people were starting to be panic and chaos, but no one would imagine that it was going to be massacre. That night we stayed at home, and all the night actually we heard people running, screaming, shouting and shooting, and then silent after that. So my mother suggested to go to the mosque. When we arrived to the mosque, it was nobody there. The phalangists came to the mosque and they were swearing at us, they were just shouting at us. What happened? The Israeli soldiers were there. They were wearing the uniform, while the phalangists weren't all of them wearing the uniform. And they took us to the main street of the camp where it was full of dead bodies. Everywhere dead bodies. They forced us to walk on the dead bodies. I remember When we were walking on the dead bodies before we left, it was what I saw was my cousin Aida, and she was raped. She was with no clothes, and she was lying dead in the street. And her father was, I glimpsed him in this small alleyway. He was just bent down, dead as well at that street. So that was too much. When I saw it, I couldn't believe they killed my cousin. I couldn't speak about these things for 2 years. So this is where Balfour's studies room, where possibly he signed his declaration in this room. By signing the declaration, Balfour gave away the land of my parents and grandparents. The declaration contained a guarantee to safeguard the human rights of non-Jewish communities living in Palestine. Those rights have been ignored ever since. When my parents left Palestine, all of the things in their head was they were going to go back maybe after 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, or a month, 2 months, not more than that. And we still living in refugee camps since 1948 till now. Always my father was saying, we will go back one day. We will go back one day to Palestine. And I remember like I came to Britain. I phoned him once and I told him, why don't you come and stay with me? I want you to stay with me. He said, just 2 cases I could leave the camp. One, whether to go back to my land in Palestine or to go to my grave. And he went to his grave. He never came back to his country. Even when they buried him, I wasn't there. I couldn't actually see him. I couldn't go to the funeral. And he didn't have even place to be buried in. They buried him over my brother's dead body. Balfour was very attached to his land and his home in East Lothian. When he died in 1930, he could have been buried in Westminster, but he chose to be buried in the family's private graveyard. Balfour's promise to the Jews made us refugees. After 6 years in Scotland, I am still an asylum seeker, and I could be deported tomorrow. But where to? If I could go back to my country, yes, to my land, I could forgive these people. But at the moment, no, I can't. Because the suffering is still going on. And my story is one story from millions of the stories in with the Palestinians. 6 million of them are living in refugee camps. I think the British government has to have responsibility of what happened to my people and to me. And if you want my reason why I came here, I wanted just to say 3 words for him. Shame on him, that's all I wanted to say, honestly. That's the whole reason I wanted to come here, to say shame on you, Balfour.